After the Snow White thing, I'm going to be honest. She's going to be one of those actresses that nobody will want to cast her. And here's the real reason why I think nobody's going to want to cast Rachel Ziegler. It has to do with her making the Free Palestine post on her promotion for the film.
Snow White was supposed to be her career's biggest movie, but was so brutally criticized, it instead became the one that destroyed her life.
Pretty much I can't post a picture of myself on Twitter without a bunch of people telling me how ugly I am.
Welcome to my life. Then don't.
That's hard. Simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Oh, jeez.
Or perhaps it was all part of the plan, because decades ago, Walt Disney himself said Snow White should never be remade.
Some things aren't meant to be remade, they're meant to be remembered. How did he know that?
But they went ahead anyway, and by the time the trailer dropped, people hated it already. If I saw this movie on a plane, I would still walk out. Was it that hard to find someone who actually looks like Snow White? I just find it funny that her name is Snow White and she's not white. It just defeats the purpose. Petitions to cancel the remake started immediately.
Yeah, people went absolutely crazy on this.
Over
2.3 million dislikes. Imagine having that much of a dedicated hater base. That's insane.
Leading people to wonder why Disney wasn't canceling the movie or making some changes. Well, they did make changes. For starters, they swapped out real dwarf actors for CGI, which looked hideous. Instead of the beloved original characters, we got creepy, soulless abominations that looked like they crawled out of a failed video game. And
yeah, because doing the opposite was considered like some form of ableism. What a surprise.
Snow White dreaming of love makes her too dependent, which only makes sense considering there's no prince either, just a bandit named Jonathan.
So there's no Prince Charming and just a bandit. Wow, this really is for women nowadays, isn't it?
The writers intentionally didn't want a prince saving Snow White.
By making him a thief and a lowlife, rather than an authoritative figure of any kind.
It felt more like a political statement than a kid's movie. And in case it isn't obvious, it was a garbage cash grab. The ending scenes felt like a Diddy party, and no surprise, people absolutely hated it. But there was something they hated even more. Snow White herself. Why? Well, arrogance, that's why. Back in 2020, Rachel Ziegler called Jeremy Renner a racist, sexist, transphobic garbage monster based on irrelevant allegations that were proven to be false.
Oh, okay, there we go. So let's see here. Let me read it. Jeremy Renner has faced serious allegations from his ex-wife, including claims of threats and reckless behavior. What does that have to do with being transphobic? No criminal charges have been filed against him and the allegations have not been definitively proven. Rayner has consistently denied the allegations and legal proceedings so far have not resulted in any findings supporting any claims.
When a user told her to learn the facts before running her mouth, she arrogantly replied, "Better catch my mouth, cause she running."
Better catch my mouth, cause she running by? It is crazy to me that anybody that is not in 4th grade or below is saying this.
She never should have been cast, but this will be her last movie, judging by her comments.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937. There's a big focus on her love story.
Yeah.
With a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
After calling the prince a stalker, she said this.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White. She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about...
Why is that bad? Why is that bad? It's bad to hope to have a husband and like to fall in love. Why is this bad?
Becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Now, in the beginning, her statements weren't that outrageous. Although there was one massive issue. She couldn't keep her mouth shut.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like,
isn't that I mean, I don't understand how do you have some, like, I mean, this isn't even a live interview. Like, how do you greenlight this and let it go live? I didn't like the original show. Okay, so why are you redoing it?
I'm being so serious. I watched it once. Never revisited Snow White again.
Ziegler gives I Deserve This role more than anyone, and the fact that she has zero good to say about the original is disgusting narcissist, which wasn't wrong. For example, she seemed oddly excited saying her co-star's scenes could get cut.
I have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
What a bitch, bro. What a bitch. Jeez, man.
She acts like she's making the movie herself. But ironically,
Yeah.
she became the main reason people didn't want to watch it.
Yep.
And she eventually explained why. After Donald Trump won the election, Rachel posted this story basically calling him full of
Yep.
hate. But at the end, she said Trump
Yep.
supporters, voters,
Shots
and Trump
are back.
himself never know peace. Being
Yeah.
completely opposite to the message she always preached. Clearly, she was a hypocrite as well. Disney made her
Obviously.
apologize and hired a social media guru to review every post until the movie's release.
Jesus. Think about how much money that is. Think about how much time that is. Millions of dollars invested on this bullshit.
Yet the guru clearly did a terrible job because when the trailer was released, Rachel thanked the viewers for the views, but also added, always remember Free Palestine.
This was it. This is the point where things got bad. Because there's nothing wrong with saying this, but when you're attaching it to the promotion of your media, that's an issue. It's an issue. Bringing politics to work. I've even had to take HR modules that say, don't talk about politics at work.
This wasn't a huge deal, but her co-star was Israeli and supported Israel. Therefore, the tension between them was at its peak during the promotion. The real issue, however, was that Rachel's tweet led to Gal receiving death.
I don't even know how true that is because, like, I mean, yeah, she's Israeli and she was in the IDF and she doesn't think Israel should be destroyed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she doesn't empathize with Palestinians.
Threats. So many, in fact, that she had to be given personal security. Rachel destroyed any hopes the movie had left.
Yep.
And now, the internet was about to destroy her. Because before the movie could flop, her face already had Edna Mode,
Jesus Christ, bro. Like,
Willy Wonka, the little lad,
and
Violet.
you can see, like, if you look at the color grading here, how is the color grading for the movie worse than this? Like, in my opinion, she looks way better in this. She even looks better in this as well. This is awful. It just looks like shit.
Violet, Lisa Rinna, Coconut Head, Beoshala, and the most accurate of all, Lord Farquaad.
Yeah.
On Reddit, people stated her eyes got beef, haven't made eye contact in years. Those eyes are drifting apart like continents. Soon they'll need a passport to meet. Snow White versus Evil Queen who is jealous of her looks. With literally thousands of people just roasting her. They clipped her face from the movie and turned it into art like this. Petitions to remove Rachel from the movie started popping up, with supporters calling her a nasty person, whilst editing pictures to turn the evil queen into Snow White. Fans disliked her so much because she has an ego the size of an elephant but looks like Lord Farquaad's mom with the attitude of a whiny brat. If you think she was the wrong choice for Snow White, like this. Almost 10,000 people agreed. Things had gotten so bad, she was being stalked and receiving death threats. As Zegler shared, the backlash led to people standing outside her apartment, screaming profanities.
That's crazy. Like, anybody doing that needs to, in my opinion, go to jail. I think if you take an internet beef and you take a problem that you have with a personality or anything like that and you take it into the real world, you just need to go to jail. Is there any reason they shouldn't go to jail? It's stalking, it's harassment, it's weird, it puts people in danger. Why should a civilized society tolerate that type of mental illness?
Did she really deserve all this? And what did it do to her?
I think a lot of people are very mean, so when I do public appearances, I get very anxious. I had an anxiety attack on the plane ride here.
I bet.
She first explained how intense the backlash was.
Pretty much I can't post a picture of myself on Twitter without a bunch of people telling me how ugly I am.
Almost quitting social media because it sent her into depression.
So I'm very hesitant to share a lot of myself with the world.
That's what happens when you're a bitch, is that nobody likes you. I know it sounds crazy, but those are the consequences of your actions. That's life.
I'm trying to be less active and check less and scroll less and read less, mostly because when I do look at things or read things on social media, it makes me upset. It makes me like a worse person.
It got so bad, she even considered getting plastic surgery.
Because I know how mean people get when like pictures of me surface on the internet. It's gotten to a point where I actually had the thought in my brain of what surgery and how much surgery.
I can guarantee you that any surgery that she gets, people will only make it worse. You ever heard of the phrase a pecking party? Chickens, whenever one chicken starts bleeding, all of the other chickens around it peck that chicken to death. That's what happens on the internet. And the only way to stop it is to not bleed. I don't know why people don't tell her that. You had a social media guru and they couldn't even tell you this? Damn.
Do I have to get for people to finally stop calling me ugly on the internet?
That's the worst decision you can possibly make.
She started posting less and less.
I don't really like giving people an opportunity to use my content as a way to bring me down about things that I say,
Yeah.
things that I do, or the way that I look.
The hate reached a whole new level. All she wanted was for it to stop.
I can also be happy.
I mean, I've never really made fun of the way she looked. I mean, yeah, she kind of looks like Lord Farquaad, but like, as I said, the reason why she looked so bad is that they washed out her face. They gave her the most unflattering hairstyle possible.
Greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Which pushed Zegler to her breaking point. I don't know how much
No,
more
of
I can
course not.
take. It's haunting me. I cry every day. I just want it
Wow.
all to stop, she said. But sadly, not only was it not going to stop, it was about to get 100 times worse.
Yep.
Because when the movie was finally released, with a production budget of $270 million and $410 million in total,
That's a lot of money, guys.
after marketing costs, expectations were high. Although that didn't happen, it made just $43 million domestically and $44 million internationally in the first opening, which dropped by 66% the following weekend, pulling in only $14.3 million. It needed $500 million just to break even, but made only $182 million. The movie reached just 1.6 stars on IMDb.
I think it's one of the worst rated movies of all time. Because there's also not only Rachel Zegler hate, but there are other people that hate Gal Gadot because she's from Israel. So you have the people that are pro-Palestine that are downvoting the movie because of Gal Gadot, and you have the people that are pro-Israel that are downvoting the movie because of Rachel Zegler. And it's not even about the movie. It's got nothing to do with the movie. The movie apparently sucked too. Double whammy wombo combo. I guess, yeah, everything about it was bad.
Making it the lowest rated film ever,
Wow.
and scored only 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Dozens of TikToks showed how empty
Wow.
the theaters were. On Reddit, when asked about how the movie did, employees responded, "I didn't even know it was out in theaters. Between the 4 showings we had yesterday, we did 8 people for it." So, who was to blame for all this? Well, of course, Rachel Zegler,
No, it's
right?
the internet's fault. It's the internet's fault, and it's men's fault. It's racism's fault. It's actually, you know who the real fault is? Donald Trump did this to her.
Because she directed the film, wrote the script, styled her hair, and told the studio to spend $500 million on a remake no one asked for, right? No, Rachel had no fault in the film's failure. However, the saddest part is that Disney themselves started using her as a scapegoat. Suddenly, it wasn't Disney's movie anymore. It was Rachel Zegler's.
Rachel Zegler.
That's what you get. That's what you get. Because she tried to entangle them in her worldview and her politics.
Snow White is officially the worst movie of all time on IMDb, so this is her fault. Really, Snow White is bad because this is Zegler's movie and not Disney's movie. Posts like these, the review bombing on IMDb, and everything else in between the belly buttons have all been putting blame on Zegler for how Snow White is performed.
I think that the movie probably sucked, and even if they had different actors in it, it probably wouldn't have done really well. But it's definitely doing worse because of her.
But the reason why Snow White is flopping at the box office is not because of Zegler, it's because of Disney. And what's stupid is that they aren't taking any accountability. Like, I read this article where Disney playing heavy damage control because insiders at Disney are using Zegler as a scapegoat. Disney knew very well they just made a bad movie. And also the film had issues long before its release, such as the ballooning budget. There was an unclear marketing strat, and apparently this was all one person's fault.
I understand why he's frustrated, and I think Disney does bear some responsibility of this. But if people don't like her because of what she's saying and they don't want to see a movie because of her in the movie, I think that's pretty fair, man.
Pretty much just the entire idea of a live-action remake made people not want to watch the movie.
To make matters worse,
he's
the
right.
film's producer's son stated, "Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous Disney IP with hundreds of millions on the line, had to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into promoting the movie. She hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires, risking the work of thousands. Narcissism is not something to be coddled. I hate her comments and politics. It was awful. But completely blaming her is insane. Therefore, Joe
It's
Rogan
not totally her fault, but it's partially her fault.
said this.
So now they've put it all on her. She made the cardinal error of saying free Palestine on Twitter. So she could say all that men are bad and it's this and that, but once you do that, now they've put the entire weight of the failure upon her, when really, it's like making Jimmy Fallon apologize for doing a Chris Rock impression.
As a result, for the first time, Rachel started receiving some positive comments. I really don't like Rachel, but sending death threats and insults, that's just unnecessary. Now, it would be an understatement to say Rachel's mental health didn't take a hit. But after everything that's happened, it'll be interesting to see where her career goes from here.
She done. Like, I don't see, like, I mean, because the thing is, the internet, when the internet decides that they hate somebody, they hate them. Especially with people like this that have, like, these types of viewpoints. I don't see her coming back from this at all. I think she is totally cooked with this. It's extremely hard to fix internet hate if you don't fundamentally change. Yeah, and also, I mean, she's just an obnoxious person.